time has finally come. April is here. The sun is out. The flowers are blooming. And that can only mean one thing. The Masters has arrived. I think everyone has had this week marked on their calendar for a very long time. The week we finally get to see those azaleas in and around Augusta National bloom. The week we get to see one of the most beautiful golf courses and tests of golf the season has to offer. What's up, guys? Kyle here with our Masters Tournament preview. We're going to take a look at the weather out in Georgia to see if we might see a weather wave advantage, break down Augusta to see what type of game you have to bring to find success, create a model based off those factors, and then go golfer by golfer to see if they have the game to contend this week or might not be the best fit to take down Amen Corner and claim the green jacket. As always, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all socials, and in the comments below, you tell us who you think is a sneaky, under-the-radar pick to win this week. With that said, let's dive right in. We're in the heart of Georgia for the Masters this week, and there truly is no better place than Augusta. The weather almost every year can have a significant advantage or effect on scoring, and the same does go for this year. Now, we're going to look at three different factors when we look at the temperature, the actual weather, and then wind. So we're going to start out with the temperature. This is one of the only tournaments on the schedule where we will see like the temperature shift between the AM and the PM as much as it does. So what I mean by that, on Thursday, we're looking at these temps. It's going to be around 50 degrees, and then it's going to get all the way up to about 68, mid-60s for the PM group. That's not even as drastic as what we're going to see on Friday, where it's going to be, again, around 50 degrees, but then it's going to get all the way up into the high 70s. So these morning wave guys are going to be dealing with cold temperatures, morning dew. I don't think that ball is going to be flying as far as it does compared to the PM group. So that definitely is something you kind of need to look at. Now, for the actual weather, I'm not seeing anything. I mean, there's not an ounce of rain in this forecast at all. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday leading in, nothing. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sunny skies. I mean, it's looking like it's going to be playing very true. Very great test of golf this week. Now, to finish things off, we do need to look at the wind. This is what's going to have probably the biggest effect on everything. And the first thing I'm kind of noticing is that Friday PM, we do get the PM wave wind is going to be very, very low. I think these guys in the Friday PM are going to have the best overall conditions of all the different sections Thursday and Friday. Now, I do understand like 80% of the guys are going to make the cut, but I think they're going to have the best conditions. But that doesn't go without saying that Thursday they will be playing a little bit tougher of conditions. Now, the consistent wind speed is actually a little bit lower on Thursday and then peaks at around 13, but they will have gusts a little bit higher in the AM on Thursday. Friday, the AM, it's looking fairly tame. I just think these AM guys do have a little bit higher of wind gusts, whereas for, again, the PM, it's looking like prime conditions. So if we're trying to play some sort of weather wave advantage, I would probably lean closer to the AM PM. Like if it's a coin flip, if you're trying to decide between two guys, and one of them is AM PM, the other is PM AM, I'd probably lean the AM PM. But again, it is weather. These things could change on a whim at any point. I definitely think moving day will hold true to its name because Saturday, I mean, the temps, the wind, everything is looking absolutely sublime. These guys are going to be scoring big time on Saturday. And then even same with Sunday. I mean, there is no wind in sight. I think it's going to be a gorgeous week in Augusta. So now that we have weather checked off, what we're going to do is we're going to create a course fit model to help us identify who is the game to put on the green jacket this week and who might be taking an early flight home. So let's jump right in. It is time to talk about the one and only Augusta National. A 7,500-yard par 72 where the top 50 and ties make it to the weekend. It tests every part of your game, mentally and all of the clubs in the bag. Off the tee, you need to have distance over accuracy, but it's never a bad thing to be accurate. A lot of landing zones will open up around the 300 to 315 yard range, so being able to carry that distance will prove to be a great asset. We also see quite a few right to left dog legs, which cater to those that favor a draw. This also goes well with the lefty narrative that the media talks about every year. So again, distance over accuracy. On approach, you will need to hit every shot in the bag. So like on your par fives, you're going to be hitting plenty of 200 plus shots. Par 4 is anything from 125 to 200. You're also going to be hitting a lot of layups. So the 50 to 100-yard shots are going to be plentiful. So what I'm looking at this week, strokes gained approach in general, just coupled all together, is what we're going to be looking at, rather than looking at the different approach bucket ranges, which we do most weeks. Now, I was blessed to have the chance to attend the Masters last year on Friday, and TV does not do one thing justice, and that is the terrain changes. The elevation just varies drastically. So for a lot of these guys, you are going to have, like, there's so many green complexes that if you don't hit your mark exactly and land it on the correct shelf, your ball is going to be rolling off the green entirely. Augusta has one of the highest correlated around the green numbers of any course. You will need to scramble incredibly well, or things will go sideways fast. The last facet of the game to address is putting, and you will hear this plenty this week. Course history. Again, with how much slope and undulation these greens have, just having played the course and having the history is a massive advantage. Some great putters come in here and just fall apart purely because it is very difficult to read on. And then you get some terrible putters that make their way to Augusta and magically become average or better because they have a good read on things. No matter who it is, you will need to at least hover around being a zero with the putter or better. All in all you need to do is bring a complete game with the driver, ball striking around the green, and sink some putts if you want to win this week. There is a reason why almost every winner dating back to the mid-2010s has been a top 30 player in the official World Golf Rankings, or, you kind of look at the Data Golf World Rankings now that LIV has kind of popped up, and a lot of those guys slid down the board. I would say there are probably only about 20 golfers that I think could sniff winning this week, and maybe another 20 that I could see contending. The other half of the field is just going to be praying they bring their A-plus game to have a chance at hitting the top 10. With that, I think it is time we dive into creating a model and seeing who has the game to give Augusta the best shot and bring home a win in the first major of the season. All right, we are creating our model over at rickrungood.com. Again, nothing but great things to say about Rick. Go ahead and check out all of his stuff. But again, for Augusta National, here is how we are going to be breaking down our model. I put 20 on strokes gained approach, just the raw numbers, and 10 on strokes gained around the green. I think it's going to be incredibly important this week. Going down a little bit, the radar, again, right to left hitters, the guys that have that draw, do typically have a much easier time in a couple of these holes. So I put 5 on right to left percentage. Bogey avoidance, I also put 5%. I mean, when the winning score is like 10 to 12 under, if you start piling up bogeys, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So 5 on bogey avoidance. Driving distance, I added for 10, and then total driving as well. So we're kind of weighting this as like a 2/3 driving distance, 1/3 driving accuracy type vibe. So that's where we're at with that. Around the green, again, we're adding more. We're adding 10 to scrambling. I think it's going to be incredibly important this week. Strokes gained putting on bent grass is a bent grass course, the green complexes. So we're putting 5 there just in case. Another big thing is Augusta National. These greens are some of the fastest, not just on tour, but like in the world. So I'm putting 5 on strokes gained fast greens. And then I'm putting another 5 on par 5s. You have to score on the par 5s or you're going to be sunk. I didn't talk about that earlier. But the par 5 scoring is incredibly important this week. And then going down a little bit further, the big one, I'm putting 15 on Augusta National strokes gained. I mean, if you don't have the course history around here, you are in a world of trouble. Typically, there are some guys that can pop up and do very well on their first trip. But you need to have at least gone once before if you really want to model or project for doing well. And then if you want to win, it's, I think on average, like golfers win in their 4th or 5th attempt at Augusta. So again, the guys that have played here year in and year out, those are the guys that stand a chance at winning versus some of the guys that it's their first or second go around. So I'm putting 15 on Augusta National, and I do believe that is it for us. That rounds out all 100. So what I'm going to do is let's sort by score. And what we get is Rory McIlroy, number 1. That is actually pretty crazy. Number 2 is Matt Fitzpatrick. Number 3, Ludvig Aberg. Number 4 is Xander Schauffele. Number 5 is Scottie. That's where he sits. It's a little concerning, given the price tag. Number 6, Tommy Fleetwood. Number 7, the biggest shock of the day is going to be Cam Smith. Probably a lot to do with the course history and his putting stats and around the green stats. But number 8, Adam Scott. Number 9, Hideki Matsuyama. And number 10, Nikolai Højgaard, another shocker. So what we're going to do now, we are going to sort by salary. We're going to look at the different salary ranges to see who kind of stands out in terms of the data is saying they're going to do well or should do well this week, and then some guys in the same price ranges that aren't looking as good, maybe make some leverage plays, predict some projected ownership, and then we'll do that for all the price range. All right, in the 10K range, we have four golfers. No surprise at all here. Scottie Scheffler at 14,000, Rory McIlroy at 11.6, Bryson at 10.2, and Rahm at 10. Now, the first thing that really stands out to me is the fact that Scottie is this much higher than the other guys. With how his game has kind of been played lately, I was expecting him to be a little bit lower. I was expecting maybe like 13 because DraftKings typically does allow you a lot of salary flexibility for the majors. So I'm kind of shocked they have him this high, which kind of leads me to believe kind of where his game's at right now. I might be fading him. I have not really done much of a look. Like, this is honestly kind of a first look glance at the pricing, and I don't know how much value we're going to have down the board. I mean, there's some guys down here, but you're going to need 2-3 of them if you really want to fit anything in with Scottie. And given this is a course history and like savant type course where you really need to have your chops, you're going to need some of these guys up in the 9s and 8s to fill out your lineup, because they're going to be the ones that I think are going to be pushing Scotties, the Rorys, the Brysons, and the Rahms in contention this week. So I'm a little bit weary of where Scottie's game is at right now. Another big factor is that like his distance control just really has not been the same this year. Usually he's first in stroke gained approach. He's 33rd in this entire field. That's a bit concerning. Around the green is still great. Par 5 scoring is still great. Everything else is still essentially great. And he literally is second in this field in course history, and it should be first with the wins. But Ludvig, again, in his couple of starts, has done absolutely phenomenally. So I do have some concerns with Scottie. I think it's more price tag oriented than it is game oriented, but that's just kind of where I'm at. Rory McIlroy, I'm probably going to have a lot of him. Again, he won here last year to complete the Grand Slam. Everything is looking very solid. I mean, strokes gained approach numbers are great. Around the greens, just fine. Par 5 scoring, bogey avoidance, driving distance, which is still shocking. It's just crazy how long everybody has gotten. Scrambling is just fine. He putts well on these surfaces. Good history at Augusta National. Good drive. I mean, everything is great. So I think I'm going to take a lot of the times the savings from Scottie to Rory and go with Rory. But the two guys that I think arguably are coming in the best form in the world are Bryson and Rahm. I lean Rahm just because I think his around the green numbers are a lot better. But then, again, Bryson, scrambling-wise, he's second, whereas Rahm is 46. So when you kind of look at this, it's a little bit conflicting. Neither of them have the total driving or this right to left. I prefer Rahm in a vacuum, and I think he's a little bit less robotic. I think he can be a little bit more, go with the flow versus Bryson, where he kind of just goes in with a game plan and executes it as well as possible. And if things start going wrong, he can kind of trip over himself. He's gotten a lot better at that over the years, but that's just kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm definitely leaning in the 10s, Rory and Rahm. But I mean, let's be real, you can play all of these guys. I would not be shocked if any of them won or finished top 3. So that's just kind of where I'm at. Let's head to the 9s. All right, the 9K range is led off by Ludvig Aberg. I mean, he has incredible history around Augusta. Followed up by Xander, Colin, Tommy, Cam Young, Justin Rose, and Patrick Reed. Now, this is going to be a price range I'm probably sticking with like 4 guys, and the other ones I'm probably not going to. And we'll kind of start with the 2 guys that I'm not going to be playing. Well, 3 guys. And that is going to be Rose, Reed, and Colin. Now, this is nothing to say that like all 3 have amazing history here. I'm pretty sure Colin, what did he finish? Was it T2 last year? Or T3? Or was it the year prior? Let me just double check. Yeah, it was the year prior. T3, a 5th, a T10, a T14. His recent history is just phenomenal. But I don't know where the back is at right now. I'm very leery of playing him. I think he's a great leverage play. I mean, I don't think on DraftKings anybody's going to be playing him, but I can't get down to it, and especially when I'm wanting a little bit more distance. I don't know if he has quite the distance I'm looking for. So that's just kind of where I am at with him. The next is Justin Rose. Now, I do understand he's a big game hunter. He finished second here behind Rory after losing the playoffs last year. I just there his game has not been all that great outside of the win this year. Like it really has not. Um, just to kind of look at things. If I could get this to load, this is terrible. There we go. I know we had a T13 at the Players, which is great, but a miscut. T37 at Pebble Beach, where he lost around the green and off the tee pretty miserably. And even like, I guess with the Players, these numbers are great. I mean, you can be a zero off the tee and have these numbers and do just fine at Augusta, which kind of does go to show he is a big game hunter. I do, however, think his ownership is going to be higher just because this is one of those tournaments and contests where the guys, the amateurs, the people that don't play DraftKings all that often are going to be flocking to all the names, and a lot of these guys are going to see Justin Rose. Lost to Rory in the playoff last year, and they're just going to pick Justin Rose. I think the price tag of 9,100 is a little steep for my liking. And then finally, I do understand it with Patrick Reed. I don't think I'm gonna get to him. Like I would rather play some of these other guys that we're seeing on the PGA Tour week in and week out. He's not even playing on Live. He's playing at a lot of DP World Tour events, that kind of stuff. So these numbers are a little bit inflated. I know he's got great history around Augusta National. We're not taking anything away from him when it comes to that, but I think I'd rather go in a different direction. Which then brings me back up to the top. The guys I am playing: Ludvig, Xander, Tommy, and Cam Young. Now, with Ludvig, amazing history. He's coming in great form. So many great things I could say about him. He's probably going to, if I can find a way to figure it out, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of Rory Ludvig lineups, John Rahm Ludvig, and then figure it out from there because the numbers are spectacular. He's got the right ball, or the ball flight. He's good on fast greens. Total driving's excellent. Great history around Augusta. Love Ludvig. Xander, he's going to be a very popular play. His approach numbers have been great over the last 36. He avoids bogeys very well. He scrambles very well. He putts well on these surfaces. He's got the driving distance to back it up. Just all in all, everything looks incredibly strong for Xander coming in. And just to kind of look at what he's been up to lately with his actual finishes. Again, T4 at the Valspar, third at the Players, another big game hunter, seventh at the Genesis. Everything looks great to me, so I'm going to be playing a lot of Xander. Now, Tommy might not have the driving distance, but he has pretty much everything else that I want. He's great on approach. He's great around the green. Scores well on par fives. Avoids bogeys well enough. Scrambles well. Putts well on these surfaces. I'm going to say this about a lot of guys for a lot of these different things, but he basically checks every box. If he can get it out there far enough, I think he'll do just fine. What is his history? I do want to see his recent finishes at Augusta. Yeah, T3 in 2024 is great. T21 last year, but he lost so much with the putter. But just kind of looking at, he's gained 2 over 2 over 2 over 2 was an even. If he can just figure it out with the putter, I think he very well could contend and win this golf tournament, even though he's not exactly known for winning. Again, love Tommy Fleetwood. A big name that's going to be bet around the industry, played around the industry, and I know his ownership is going to be astronomically high, is Cam Young, our Players champion. There's just everything lines up for him to succeed here. He's been great on approach, great on the par fives. He avoids bogeys well enough. I don't care about this driving distance. He hits it further than that. I think the big takeaway is he doesn't have the best history around Augusta, but I don't see any. He's still a very young golfer, so this is bound to get better. And he's got the exact ball flight we're looking for, so I really do like Cam Young. That wraps up the 9K range. Let's head to the 8s. All right, the 8K range. Now, I did kind of say earlier how I was going to be building things. I also did note that this is kind of a first look when it comes to salary. I think the preferred build is going to be Stars and Scrub this week. I think the 8K range is going to be almost entirely forgotten about outside of one player. Because a lot of these guys have question marks. Like significant question marks. We'll go ahead and start off with Hideki Matsuyama. I do think, being a former champion and an owner of the green jacket, I think he very well could get some ownership. He's great on approach. We want ball strikers. He's great around the greens. He avoids bogeys. He's not the longest off the tee, but he just has that finesse that you look for around these parts. And he's got the right swing type, I think. And personally, I will be playing some Hideki. And then the next guy that I think will be played in bunches, he's going to be incredibly highly owned, is Matt Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's coming in amazing form. He checks basically every single box you could ask for, except for the driving distance part. But he's also up there in driving distance, so it doesn't really matter. Great on the par fives, great around the green, amazing approach player. Total driving's been excellent. Great on fast greens. I mean, this could be a year that he, really elevates himself as one of the greats in the world. So really like Matt Fitzpatrick. Everyone else, actually no, Bobby Mack. Bobby Mack played excellent last week. Lefties are definitely a thing. At Augusta, I could see him getting a lot of ownership. The approach numbers are a little concerning. I do want to see what his approach numbers were last week, just to kind of confirm things. But he's one that definitely could get some ownership. He gained 5 strokes on approach. I mean, if we can get this profile, he could win, very well. He is in one of those 20 guys that I think could win. He's coming in good form. So I do think Bobby Mack is another one that will get some ownership, and I do also like. But the rest of it, I'm pretty much out on. I know Vic's got great approach numbers. Doesn't drive it far. He picks up too many bogeys. He doesn't really have the right swing type. Now, he does have decent history here. And everything. It checks a lot of boxes. Doesn't score well in the par fives. That's enough for me to be out, given the price tag and who surrounds him. Brooks, I know he's a big game hunter, but we haven't seen it in forever. I know the numbers are coming around, but I think at Augusta, he still has some putting woes that need to get kind of fixed. But I don't think I'm going to get there. I think he should be a lot cheaper than he really is. I mean, this cut at the Houston Open, this is bad. You don't want to go into Augusta with a profile like this. Big no for me. And again, the putter, it was starting to get a little bit better, but I have some concerns. And then he missed the cut here last year, T45 the year prior. Cut outside of the T2 in 2023. It's been a while since he's really done well. So I'm probably out on Brooks. Spieth's a no. Justin Thomas is a no. Shane, I think Justin Thomas has the savviness around this place, but I'm out. I'm out on Lowry. I don't think he hits it far enough. Around the green is definitely a problem. I know he's amazing on approach, but I would rather go to guys in the 7s or, a little bit higher in the Matt Fitzpatrick Hideki range. I'm out on Hatton, even though I do kind of like his numbers. He hates Augusta. He's talked crap about it for years. I can't bounce back and play Sepp Straka after he just destroyed me last week. I had him in bunches on DraftKings, and he was a sunk ship right out the gate. So I don't know if I can go back. If we want to look at the data and put all that aside, I do think he's got the right shot shape. He's good on fast greens. He scrambles well. He doesn't hit it the farthest. Picks up one too many bogeys for my liking. Decent everywhere else. I just think at this price tag, we're not looking for decent. I would rather go down to other guys. And then Chris Gotterup, I don't know why the model never likes him. This could be a spot for him. I just think from an ownership perspective, nobody's going to be playing him. He hits it extremely far. A lot of his numbers are fairly solid. He can be wishy-washy in different categories from week to week, which does, again, I can pose some issues. Like, he can completely collapse on himself. Like, again, gained 4 strokes off the tee at Houston, but then lost in both the Players and the API. He's been great on approach. This Hero World Challenge result has just been a sinking ship for him for the last little bit. I mean, if we're looking at 36 holes, that's 12 tournaments. 10, that's 5, 10, 12. It's factoring in these two. So he's been great on approach as of late. He's been really good around the green, but again, he can lose every once in a while. Same with the putter. He's kind of figured that out. I like Gotterup a lot this week. If he comes in lower owned, which I kind of do halfway expect, then I'm a buyer. So I guess we'll add. I do like Chris Gotterup a lot this week. So that wraps up the 8s. Let's head to the 7s.
All right, the 7K range. Now, this range honestly is fairly loaded, so I think there is maybe a chance that you could pull off a Scottie and some of these guys, but I will kind of give you a foreshadow that the 6K range is pretty terrible. So let's go ahead and start off with Russell Henley. Now, he doesn't exactly hit it as far as we want, but he avoids bogeys at a very good rate. He's a great approach player. And again, he's got good history at Augusta National, has the swing type we're looking for, and he's good on fast greens. That is enough checked boxes for me. I don't like Patrick Cantlay, so I'm not playing him. Moving on. Siwoo Kim, again, he's been amazing on approach, and with the driver, he just cannot putt to save his life. He doesn't hit it as far as we would like. Again, similar to Russell Henley, but I think given the fact that he does actually putt well at Augusta, I think there's some reason to believe that going to him this week at 7,900, 7,800 is a great shot. He's having a great year, so I do like him. Now, Akshay and Minwoo Lee. Akshay is a lefty, so he's got the swing type we're looking for. He's decent on fast greens. Now, he doesn't have the best history around these places or putting history on bent grass, but there's a lot of other things. Like, he's having a very strong season. He's been great on approach, which we're looking for ball strikers. So I do like Akshay. I'd probably rather go to Siwoo, but I do like him. Minwoo Lee's probably having an even better season. Actually, no, he's not. Akshay literally has a win. Minwoo is having a great season, though. Don't get me wrong. He's been very good on approach, good around the greens, par 5 score as well. He hits it a mile compared to these guys around him, so do like him there. Scrambles well, good bent grass putter. His issue, he really isn't the best at Augusta National historically, but I think all in all, he checks enough boxes. I do like Minwoo. I'm skipping these 3 guys entirely. If I were to go to one, it would probably be Corey Connors. Team no putt, but at least he does enough in the approach category compared to Day and Griffin that I think he could make up for some of the other issues on approach. And then I am skipping to this range. I'm going to be playing a lot of Cam Smith, Nikolai Højgaard, Knapp, Bridgman. Starting with Cam Smith, his game has kind of elevated and turned itself around compared to last season. Again, I know we're only measuring like 4 strokes gained rounds. But if you do just kind of look at his finishes this year, I think it's like 2 top 10s, 2 top 15s. And then I'm like would be missed cut because he was terrible. But a second to the Australian Open is not bad at all. I think all in all, when you're gaining this many strokes total, I think there is some reason to believe that his game is somewhat turning around. And then back when he was actually good, again, a T6 in 2024, an 8th in 2022, 10th, 2nd. I do like Cam Smith a lot this week at lower ownership. A lot of the ownership is going to be going to Nikolai Højgaard, having an excellent season. He's been great on approach, scores well in the par 5s, avoids bogeys, hits it very far. That's another thing Cam Smith does. Hits it very far, and they both scramble very well. He's not as good of a putter at all compared to Cam Smith, but that does kind of come with the fact that like the ownership is going to probably be twice as high as Cam Smith's, because the narrative around Cam Smith is that he sucks now. So I do think both of these guys are great options. Let me click on him again. Is Nikolai a lefty? To have that swing type and not be a lefty would be kind of crazy. Does it say it in here? No, it doesn't. I thought maybe that's one of those things to look up. But he's got the perfect swing type. Exactly what we're looking for. Jake Knapp, again, having a great season. He did kind of have a lull there when I think it was an undisclosed injury. I couldn't remember exactly. His approach numbers around the green numbers are kind of deflated by 2 terrible tournaments in those categories, but great par 5 score, avoids bogeys well, hits it a mile, which is great thing to have at Augusta. Scrambles well. There's a lot to like about Jake Knapp and where his game is at, and he bounced back to a T6, I think, at Houston. So the issues of WDing and those woes in the middle of the season, or the middle part of this season, are kind of mitigated by he did have a very strong finish last time out. So I like Jake Knapp, and then I've been on the Bridgman train the entire year. I'm not getting off now. His numbers, I probably would prefer the Cam Smith, Nikolai Højgaard, Knapp guys. I think he relies a little bit too much on putting, but his approach numbers have been great. He avoids bogeys at an elite rate, which definitely helps. My big issue is the fact that he has never played at Augusta, and we've seen great putters go to Augusta and absolutely suck. We'll talk about one of those here in a minute. But again, his numbers do look very solid, so I like Jacob Bridgman. I'm skipping this entire range to head down to the Adam Scott, Mav McNeely, Spawn, Fox range. We'll start with Fox. or Scott. He is a guy that I think outside of last year, he made like 20 straight cuts at Augusta. You know what you're getting from him. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think there is a chance that he could have a very strong finish compared to his price tag. He's got the swing type we're looking for. He's a very good driver for his age. He's good on fast greens. He's got good history around these parts. And then just kind of recent form-wise. Scrambled very well, hits it far, avoids bogeys, great on the par fives. It's exactly what we're looking for. He's fourth in this field in strokes gained approach over his last 36 rounds. Really like Adam Scott. Now, the guy that I was talking about that has not putted well at Augusta is Mav McNeely. He is typically known as a very, very strong putter, and his one time out, he lost 4 strokes on the putting surfaces last year. If he can, maybe he needed 1 year to figure it out with the putter, and if he could be a 0 with this, I actually think he's the type of guy with where his game is at right now. He's one of those, like, he always shows up on the leaderboards, never in contention, but always hovers around and has like a couple bad shots or something that kind of derails his round. I really like Mav McNeely, just with where his game's at. I mean, he's good, not great at a lot of things. Sorry, if you hear my dogs in the background, they are playing. We moved into a new house, a lot of hardwood flooring. I guess they like Mav McNeely a lot too. So take that with a grain of salt. So really like Mav McNeely. I'm going to skip Spawn. I don't like really overall where his game has been at Augusta National, but he's coming off a win, so that's good to see. Clearly in good form. And the next guy is Ryan Fox. I think he checks a lot of boxes other than the approach numbers. Been good enough around the greens, good par 5 scorer, hits it very far, scrambles decently well. He's got decent history at Augusta National. I mean, a lot of checks that I'm seeing for Ryan Fox. It's just the approach numbers could hold him back. And then I'm drawing a line kind of at Ryan Fox. This is the range where when we look at the 6s, I don't know if I'm going to get to much of them at all. It doesn't look all that good. It looks very bleak past Ryan Fox. But if you wanted to go to somebody in the 7s, I mean, I guess maybe, or below him, we maybe would go to Alex Noren, but he doesn't hit it far at all. He's got terrible history at Augusta National. He doesn't have the swing type we're looking for. I think it's just his putting on bent grass and around the green savviness is strong enough, so I guess you could go to Noren. Harry Hall has never played. I would play Harry Hall. But he's never played at Augusta National. If I'm betting best finish of a debutant, I'm probably going to do Harry Hall over Marco Pangerben, Griffin, or God or Rupp. I think he'll get a good enough number. So I think I'm fine with Hall, but he's very risky in a DFS lineup. He'd be maybe that, top debutant bet, but that's just where I'm at with that. So that wraps up the 7K. Well, actually, he was 6,900, but you know what? We'll just go ahead and segue into the 6s. That wraps up the 7s. Let's head to the 6s. There's a couple guys I do halfway like. Kirk Kitayama's having a great season, so I'm fine with going to him. Great on approach, avoids bogeys very well. He hits it far enough, scrambles well. I know he's team no putt, but if he can figure it out on the putting surfaces, I think he can do just fine. Next up is going to be Michael Kim, coming off a T2 last week in Texas. He finished like 27th here last year, so perfectly fine with him. He's got the perfect swing type we're looking for. He putts decently well on fast greens, on bent grass, so that's great to see. The rest of his game, he doesn't hit it that far, which does become a problem. Doesn't score well in the par 5s, which could become a problem. But all in all, at 6,700, I think he's perfectly fine. Max Grazerman is another one where his game really hasn't been all that great, but he's a decent putter on these surfaces. And if I remember correctly, there's something that I was looking at with him. Not coming in good form, but he putted very well last year here at Augusta. This is like the inverse of Mav McNeely. Mav did well in everything else, just couldn't putt to save his life. If Max can kind of replicate this type of result again, I think at his price tag, he definitely could be a good option. I think he was coming in a little bit better form last year, which is concerning. But all in all, I think he's a guy that I starred that I think could show up here this week. Carlos Ortiz does have a lot of good numbers, but again, it's in 3 strokes gained rounds, so I'm, again, grain of salt here. I'm probably not going to go to him, just kind of glancing past his numbers. They look solid, but it's only in 3 weighted strokes in rounds. Nick Taylor. He is going to be a guy that I'm probably going to look down in the mid sixes if I want to get Scottie, get some of those higher priced options. He's been very good on approach lately, very good around the greens. He avoids bogeys well. That is a very strong start to what you need from somebody that's going to do well at Augusta. He is a winner on tour. He every year he pops up and figures something out and wins. Not to say it's going to happen at Augusta, but I think he's going to pop here real soon. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was his lead-in tournament to popping and picking up that win this year. I know he doesn't have good history here, but he does have the swing type we're looking for. So I like Nick Taylor. And I think the last guy that I was looking at I think it was Sam Stevens. He avoids bogeys well. He hits it far enough. He's been good on approach, but nothing else really screams I'm going to do well. He doesn't have the swing type we're looking for, and he's also never played at Augusta, but still like where his game's at right now. So that is it for me in the 6K range. All in all, I'm just excited. This is one of my favorite years or tournaments of the year. I want a good tournament. That's all I'm looking for. Let the studs rise, the cream rise to the top. So yeah, we're wrapping things up. Best of luck this week. We're going to be posting a lot of our betting content going forward just on our X account. So if you want to see our favorite bets from the team, from myself, some other DraftKings plays, some other things, we do some tournament course previews. Be sure to go follow us at Tapin Fantasy on X. That is it. I'm super excited. I hope you guys are too. Best of luck this week, and I will see you next time.